Let me tell them what they are going to get in this training. So, firstly, I think if you guys have participated in our previous training, last week training, I think we have given the theoretical knowledge, theoretical aspect of our access controlling. So, here we are doing the practical one in this week. So, first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to guide you on how to do the wiring in the access control systems, and secondly we are going to show you how you can do the software configurations as well, and we are not going to stop from there, and we also going to show you how you can get generate reports as per your need, customize and generate report as per your requirement.
Thank you very much, Tanidu and Varuna, for that wonderful introduction. And with that, let me show you all my setup here today. So I have one of our all-time favorite devices, which is DSK T1341 AMF, which is handy device and very budget device that you can get on the market. Comes with face recognition, fingerprint, and card. So it is a all-in-one package that you can use for your access control requirements. And with that, I have the traditional electromagnetic lock that you can see on the market. And also don't forget, Hikvision have his own range of locks, especially electromagnetics and board locks. So all these products that you can see on this table are coming from directly from Hikvision. So when you are considering components for your access control projects, not only the main terminal, you can also buy other components from Hikvision. So for that kind, for your kind information, and I have another component which is the exit button, kind of a push button. We have the touchless button as well. Also, you might recognize this is the emergency door release. Otherwise, we call it a break glass switch. So this comes in two colors. You can get the red one, especially for the fire, and the green one is for emergencies. So either one you can use. And finally, I have connected these components to the standard power, and I have done the cabling. But I highly doubt that you will be able to grasp what is going on by looking at the mess of these open cables. So that is why I'm going to show you something more easy to understand. So let me quickly share my screen. All right. Hope everyone can see my screen and as the video. So let me start with the device itself. So before going into the device even, we have to clear one key concept, that is relays. So talking about the relays, I'll just take it out for the moment, the video. I'm going to show you most typical two relays that we have in the electronics market. So you can see there are two major categories. One is identifies as NO, other one is identified as NC. So if you have previously worked with access control systems, you will definitely know what this means. But bear with me for the people who don't know. I'm going to take 1 minute and explain this. So normally open means it is actually acting like a normal switch. So just imagine at your house, when you want to turn on a light, you go and press the switch, right? So we can say normally that light is switched off, that switch is off. But when you want to turn it on, only you can go and press the particular light button to turn it on. So it is similar to this. So at the normal state, it is open. But when you want to do something, you can connect. As you all aware, in electronic systems like this, we are not able to use physical buttons like that to specially control doors like that. So we have an electronic switch. Those electronic switches are called as relays. So now we identified what is normal open relay. The NC relay, otherwise we call it normal closed relay, is totally opposite of that, which means at the normal state, it is connected. So the power can flow through. But when we want to do something, it disconnects. So with this, I hope that you got a clear idea about the relays, and then I will go into the device itself. So in any access control device, you can find these kind of interfaces. Most common thing is the power. Obviously, we have to give the power to power up the device. And we have a lock interface. In that lock interface, you will now see two familiar words, NO, NC. Now we know these are relays. And to complete the relay switch, because if you see, there are two sides. No? The power comes from here and goes out from here. So we have a communication interface. We have another two important interfaces, which is for door sensor and ground wire of the door sensor, as well as we have a button and a communication interface for that button. How do we wire it? Starting, we have to give the power. So I have the power source here, right up here on the right. It can be 12 volt or 24 volt, depending on your access control device that you are using. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw power directly from plus to plus and probably minus to minus. This might be very easy for everyone. I'll just change the color of the minus so everyone can Easily understand. So with this, we can easily power up the device. But that is not the difficult part. Now, when it comes to the other components in the system, let's look at a traditional push button. So most of the buttons, push buttons, you will see only two interfaces. Most of them are. So here also you can see those common words in no NC. So let me explain this. Normally, when you connect power, to a system, when you run it through a relay, it is like this. I'll draw a wire. I'm going to give power to this NO and take it out from the COM. Okay. Now you can say this circuit is not complete at the moment because it is normally open. But what if I change the wire to here? I'm going to move the wire all the way up to here. Now it is always connected exactly like this. So within the switch, there's a connect. So normally most of the exit buttons, they are coming on the NO type, which is normally open. When you push the button only, it connects the signal. Exactly like a switch that you have in your house, turn on the light. So this is a sample picture of a button. So what will happen is when you push it, that will cause this button to temporarily connect these two edges, which will do the trick, which will pass a signal quickly back to the fingerprint terminal. So you will know that somebody has pressed the exit button. So this wiring, this is very easy. So as you can see, you don't have to do much. You can easily connect the COM wire to COM wire in the button and connect the NO wire to the button interface in the access control terminal. So this is easy. So as I mentioned, most of the buttons have only this NO and COM. But some cases, especially the buttons that I have here, I'll show you this exit button. If I take, you can see there are 3 wires coming out of it. Here you can see it is color coded and it is giving me the colors. For example, white is COM, green is normally open, NO, yellow is normally closed, NC. So here this button has all 2 relay types. It is actually not a relay physically. Now we are pressing it. It is actually a button, but the concept is same. Power is normally at the normal state. It is open. When we press quickly, it connects. Now it should be clear. Now let's go into this dose sensor. I think you have seen this kind of dose sensors, so which is very common in alarm systems, I might say. And the purpose of this is to know that whether the door is open or not. So basically, there are 2 parts. One part you fix to the door frame, other part you fix to the physical door itself. And when the door is open, you will see that these are not aligning with each other, and it can identify that because of the magnetic field. When the door is closed, these 2 parts are perfectly aligning with each other, then it can detect. So this has only 2 outputs. One is the COM and then NC. So what is the normal situation here? We normally keep the door closed at access control situation. So it is in the normally closed state. So whatever the power that you connect to these 2 interfaces, it is connected. So let's do like this. So I'm going to change the color of this as well. So we can. So let me draw another wire from sensor to NC here, and ground and the COM both are same. Now what happens? Now since this is a NC, this is a NC wire. So it is always connected because it is normally closed, right? So you can see as it is normally connected. But when the door is open, this connection breaks. This connection breaks and the power doesn't flow through this path. Then immediately that is notified to the reader. So you may think, what is the purpose of having the door sensor? What is the meaning? So basically, as you know, especially if you are using this kind of locks in access control door, when one guy has the permission, he comes and he can hold the door so other people can go in. So in access control systems, we have a thing called door timeout. So when somebody is trying to keep it force open for a longer period of time, the system can detect it and give you an alarm. So that detection is done by this particular door. So what happens is as soon as this connection is broke, because normally it is connected because it's normally closed. As soon as it is broken, he will start a timer here in the machine. Okay, 1 second, 2 second, like. So we can configure that after 15 seconds. If it is still open, give me alarm. So automatically system will give you an alarm. So that is the purpose of having a door sensor. So that part is also done. So these are the most easy areas. Next one, I'm going to talk about the lock. Talking about the locks is there are many types of locks. So let's take this for an example. This one has only two wires coming out of it, plus wire and a minus. So this is a 12-volt lock. If you just give 12-volt power to here, it will lock itself because it is a EM lock, electromagnetic lock. So this part is magnetized and this iron bar is attached to that because of this one is magnetized. That is the common principle on this EM lock. So what we can do is, first we have to see whether the lock is working, right? So what you can do is you can just take the power, just take the power from your power source and simply connect that to your lock. When you connect like this, if the lock is locked, basically it is locking itself, then you can ensure that the lock is working. Now that part is done. Now next important part is, how do we open this door? So to open the door, you know now, to keep it locked, I have to give the power here. To unlock it, I just have to disconnect the power. That is the basic principle. I just disconnect the power. So how do we disconnect the power? I bet you can relate to this diagram. So normally it is connected, but when we want to open the door, we disconnect it. So we have to go with NC. So what we have to do something with the reader, the access control device. So I see in the lock interface, I see a NC wire. So what I do is also I have a communication wire. Without sending directly the plus wire to the lock, I just break it there. I take it all the way back to the NC first. Okay. And I take out from NC. I'm sorry, I'm taking out from POM. I'm going to take out from POM and I'm going to give it back to the lock power plus. So let me zoom out a little bit and you can see it clearly. So now what has happened? Now this lock gets the power, but before going to the lock power plus wire, it is going through this access control device. Now you all know that this is normally connected. So what happens normally, it is connected, right? So I can basically draw it like this. I can also draw something like this and show that it is normally connected. Now, suppose somebody comes and press the exit button, or someone with the permission gets the permission. So this access control system immediately disconnect this. What will happen? Now this lock lose power for that because that access control disconnected it. Now we can set a timer for it. Maybe 15 seconds, 5 seconds. You can configure in the software. We will show you in a short while. But the basic concept is this access control device will start counting 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. When the given time is elapsed, he will connect it back again. Simple as that. So you might have seen now in the market, we have different type of locks, right? This is one type of a lock, EM lock. But you have seen especially for the glass doors, we are connecting some locks called bolt lock. Sometimes those kind of a lock, to keep it locked, you have to disconnect power. And to unlock it, you have to give power. The opposite of this side. So in that case, if your lock is operating like that, remember you have to not to use NC, you have to use the NO, because normal state, we don't need to give power to the lock. So we have to keep it on normally open. When we want to unlock it only, we have to connect the circuit. So we keep that in mind. Depending on your lock type, you can select what kind of a relay that you want to route this plus wire. So now finally we are coming into the break glass. So in the break glass switch, you can see, I'll show you my device here, my break glass device here that I have. See in the back of it, you can see there are 6 interfaces. Areas for input and areas for output. So this is also working as a normal relay. So what happens is when somebody comes and break this glass, it acts like a switch, okay? But it is like a more of a one-way switch. No, when you break it, you cannot again turn it off. As I mentioned, these are used in the emergency, and this is fixed outside the door. Normally, exit button goes inside the door because let's start with the device itself. The device is definitely outside the door. So when somebody comes with the permission, he can get the permission and go inside. To come from inside to outside, we don't need any permission. So we just fix exit button. They press the button and come out. But let's say there's an emergency inside and there's nobody at the door to open this lock using the device. We fix an emergency device like this and they can break the glass and open the door. So that is the concept behind using one of these things especially. That is why we are fixing it outside. When there's an emergency, when nobody has the permission to open the door, simply break this glass and open it. So how do we connect it? It is a tough question. If you see these kind of break glasses, it is different from model to model. So when I open, I have normally you can find the catalog here. In that catalog, you will see what interfaces that you should use to wire it. Here it is showing me, it is numbered 1 to 6, and it will show me which interface that I have to use for NC and NO. It also have the normally closed and normally open. Let's keep this aside and let's come back to our diagram. So you can see here in the bottom, I have drawn something. For example, if I give an input to this one and take it out from 2A, it is not connected anywhere here. So it is a normally open situation. So when somebody breaks the glass, what happens? It comes and connects and you can have the power. Also, let's think somebody is giving an input from 2 and getting the output from 3A. In that case, always the power is flowing. But when somebody comes and breaks the glass, it disconnects. So you have to look at what type of, how your terminals are placed in this exit button, and you can use that diagram to get an understanding. But now we have to decide what are we going to use. Are we going to use normally open or normally closed? So let's see. Now, when there is an emergency, nobody cares about this access control device. What it does, whether it has permission or not, nobody cares. Primary objective of this device is to open the door, irrespective of the access control device. So how we can do this? We have to break the power. Now, we all know this lock works only when it has the power. So we have to break the power. So normally it should be connected. At the normal situation, it is connected. But when we want to break the power, we break the glass and it breaks the power. So what kind of a relay that we have to use here is like normally closed relay. So we have to use inputs like 2 and 3A. Now you have noticed here, each interface has a number and a number following with the A or English letter. So this means normally when you send the input into a number, you have to take the output using the number which has an English letter. That is the normal, the normal standard. So what we will do is now here we have to keep it always connected. But when the glass is broken, you have to disconnect it. So what we are going to use is we are going to take the wire to 2 and take it out from 3A. So how do we do that? Now currently we are also having the power here. Again, without connecting to the lock, I'm not going to go to the lock. Before that, I'm coming to this 2 input. And I take output from 3A. I'm going to take output from 3A and then send it back to the lock. Now you can see, as per the demonstration, this 2 and 3A, this path is always connected. You can see here, 2, 3A, there's a path. But when somebody breaks the glass, it immediately disconnects this. What happens? Immediately the lock loses the power. Yeah, the lock loses the power. So that is the principle. And we have a Q&A. Why can't we take out from 2A? Why can't we take out from 2A? Okay, let's see. Now, as you can see in this diagram, 2 and 2A is always connected together. So there's no way that we can break it. Actually, the breaking happens at the top. So normally 2 and 2A is like the same path. The only reason is that it has some sort of a resistance, and 2A is A. Letter with the A is normally where we take the output. So if you connect this to 2 and 2A, you see there's no way you can break the connection, because breaking happens only at the top. You can see 2 and 2A is always connected. Breaking happens here. So that's the reason. So I hope you get the idea. Definitely, there is a manual inside your exit button, and you can identify what kind of input that you have to give. Make sure that you are using a normally closed relay here, and when the glass is broken, it will open the connection. So that is our objective. So now looking at this, you can see how we can complete a wiring diagram for complete access control system, which is, I think, very straightforward when we look at it from this angle. So let me get back to my setup here. Now, when I see the inbox inside of this, I have another plastic part here. I'll try my best to show it to you. So can anyone tell what is this? All of the emergency exit switches have this plastic part. Can anyone tell what is this? In the chat, you can name it by one word. Just add one word name. Does anyone know? So normally when we fix the exit button, how we can test it? We just press it and it's open, right? Okay. That click sound tells you that the lock is connected. So we test it by pressing it. How do we test this? We break the glass and test. No. So basically this is a key. So if you look at your break glass, you will see a small opening on the bottom left. So what we have to do is you have to put this key here There's only one way that it goes in, and you can push that. With that, you can see the glass is moving down, right? Which causes this to open. Now, like the exit button, it is not coming back to the normal position. Why? Because this is an emergency and we don't want to lock to connect again. If I share the diagram again, you can see this kind of disconnection at an emergency you do is a permanent disconnect. But kind of disconnection that you do by pressing an exit button is managed by the access control device. He has a timer. He start counting. And after that time is elapsed, he again connect it back. So that is the only difference between this exit button and the break glass switch. So I hope that you can get a clear idea. And with this, I hope that you got a very clear understanding how we can have a properly access control wiring done. So with that, I have connected this device to the network using a normal touch code to my network switch. And now we are going to look into how we can do the software side configuration. All right. So the software that we have chosen today is the IVMS 4200. I think it is the latest version. So let me quickly check. Yeah, it is kind of latest. We have latest version like this. I hope that you have already used the IVMS 4200 and you have some sort of idea about how to using it. But in case if you don't know, we have a dedicated YouTube channel, as we mentioned earlier, and we have done all these trainings about especially the access control. If I show you, we have short videos, which is we say IVMS 4200 installation guide and device setting guide, and also we have a training that we have already done where we do the IVMS 4200 basics to advanced, where we cover all aspects of the IVMS 4200 software. Also, we have a training for temperature steering as well as time and attendance. Tarindu, shall we get started with the software configuration?
Yes, I think we can start from the person mode.
Okay.
We need to add a person to the system. This is main point for the access control because we need to add person to give access. So starting from the add person details, you need to give ID, name and other common details. And also for the credential side, you can add card or fingerprint, and also you can register face. You can see now we have option to select card reader as a terminal device, or we can use local device as efficient enrollment station can connect through the USB port. So that kind of thing you can use for the fingerprint registration. After that, we can go for a next one.
Yes, Tarin, and one more thing to add, if you want more details, like here, the person module is actually have more things to it than what we told today. But we are keeping this training very brief as we are limited on time. And you can see you can have your own departments and you can have even bulk import, can import from device, and so many things are there. So what we recommend is, Taridu, to go through the detailed training that we have shared the links already in the chat. So you can get a clear idea about this person module, all the features.
Yeah, I think all are covered in that video.
Yes, exactly.
So we are going to access control module. In this, you can see how we're going to that module. And then here, first we can start from the template. There are two types of template, one for the holiday and another for the normal template. You can add holiday template from there. From this template, you can define where is the holiday and holiday time schedule for the system, access control system. And after then, you can add normal template, same like that, but using it is authorization for all day or denied, or you can use same as schedule or like you can customize for the every hours like that. You can add for the customized template.
And Tarindu, our viewers might be having the question, why are we defining holidays here? Why are we creating a template? What is the use of it? So basically, as we all know, if we are installing access control on a location, definitely on a holidays, nobody will be allowed to enter. So we need to configure what are the holidays. Then from this area, definitely you can add your holidays. After you have added the holidays, you can create any number of templates. Especially, let's say if it is a bank, they are working, office hours are from 8:30 to 5:30 p.m. So you should allow all the employees to enter only on that time, you can come here and create your own template and define that time period for each day of the week. And also, you can, out of the holidays that you have created early, you can select which holidays are applicable for this particular schedule or the template. After that, you have a clear idea what time the users can access and what are the holidays are applicable within this template that we don't have to give permission on during that holiday. So I think that is critical, and with that we can move into the other part.
I think it is more clear. We are going to authorization part, and main component is access group. This is the main component we are using in this system, because this is the key point what users and what is the device that our users can access, what are the doors we can schedule to open for that users, and everything we can define here. So we can start from adding access group. So here we can define any name for the access group, and we can choose a template as we previously created, or default all the authorized template we can use. Then we need to select persons from group list. So you can select all persons or any person, need to select that list. And also we need to select access point in available list. So if you select that access point, you can show here door status in that section. So we can save it. And
Taridu, that is exactly what you said is correct. And this is clearly actually the bond between the persons and the devices, right? So here what we do is we actually create the linkage, which persons have access to which doors. You can select multiple devices if you have, and you can create like as much as you want any number of access groups. For example, let's say one particular group you are going to give all the flows. Maybe they are maintainers. So that kind of situation, you can select only the maintenance department and access to them all the flows. Or sometimes you can have cleaners and you can give them a separate time slot, and from the template you can create that time slot and assign them from here. So here definitely all the templates that you are creating is visible. So there are three things actually you are binding here. One is the template, which tells you what time is granted access. Then next question, who are allowed to access? Then next question, what are the doors? So those three things you are binding together here, so you can have a clear understanding how the permission is granted for each person and what day and what are the doors. So with that, Tanidu, I think we already have a access group created here, so we can tell them how we can apply that to the device, right?
In first time, in initial you set up the system, you need to apply all to the device. It will apply all details, all information to the device, but so there is show all details applied to the devices, person, card, face, what kind of information applied to the device. And also you can, if you modify something, you can apply here, you show apply changes to device. That's only to apply modified details to the device. Yasanta, anything need to add?
Yes, and this one, definitely each group, you need to know what kind of status going on with that. So you can go and click on this applying status, and you can see each person, what are the credentials that you have applied. For example, if you take this person itself has gone to the device, his card is going to the device, his face is going to the device. If we had a fingerprint or anything else, we can also see those credentials here. So you can have a clear understanding what kind of data that you are pushing to the device. Yes. Here also, Tarindo, I think it is pretty much similar to what I showed earlier, especially in the applying status. So what you can see is here, but you can select a person. Let's say there's a complaint from one person that he's saying he's not having access for this particular door. So you can enter his name and you can select the device and you can search. Then you can see whether that person is actually applied to the device or not. It's like a double checking mechanism where you can see like actually the user is in the device. So this query will be done through the device, and device will send this data, ensuring that these people and this data is in there. So if you want to do in case of any time, if you want to do a double verification, you can use this search option, which is very handy when troubleshooting things with access control systems.
Yes, Santa, can we describe what is advanced function?
Definitely, Taridu. Before jumping into that, I have quick two questions on our Q&A. So I'll just jump into those.
Yes.
I'm on the Vision global website. So I'm going to filter out IBMS software. I can see it. So as you can see, our first question is like how many persons that we can add into access control. So normally each software has its own data sheet. And with that data sheet, you can definitely find on our website like I did. And you can see it is listed here how many what is the limitation for each resource. For example, even users, how many cameras, how many NVRs, like that you can see. In the access control, you can control up to 2,000 persons, up to 5,000 cards, and fingerprints 5,000, face pictures 2,000, like that. 50 access groups. I have mentioned that we can create as much as I want, but remember there's a limitation of 50, and up to 50 doors, 50 devices, and up to 16 templates. So you can find out what are the limitations in these software. So we are not limited. If your project is expecting more than that, you can definitely go for our HIC Central Professional, which can even handle maybe 100,000 persons. And if you need more than that, we have the HIC Central Enterprise as well, which is more capable of handling a massive number of people. So that is the answer for that question. Very valid question. And we have another question, whether this device can configure through web. So talking about this particular device that I'm demonstrating today, which is the 34NMF, this one has a web interface. So what you can do is, without having IBMS 4200 itself, you can configure everything on the web. So how do you do that is like very simple. You just type the IP address of the device. So let me see whether I can get access to that device. I just type my IP address like this, and you enter your username and the password, and you can log in. And as you can see, you can create users directly from the device. So this is more suitable if you have only one device in the setup. But if you are having multiple devices in a project, we don't advise to use this because this is very difficult to manage. Each device you have to log in and manage. You cannot centrally manage it. But all the options that we showed on so far is here. You can create the users, you can search the records, and also you can do certain configurations here. So that is coming directly from the web page. But keep in mind, all the devices are not supporting this web page. There are very limited number of, not limited, but there are many devices. But you have to verify whether your device is able to handle this kind of a web page control before you purchase it, because not all the devices have that function as I mentioned earlier. Finally, now we are at the authorization part where we have some advanced functions. And under the advanced functions, basically, I'll go one by one, then it will be easy for everyone to grasp what is meant by each option. Yes. So device parameters is where we modify, like if you select the device in the root, in the top, you can modify the voice prompt. For example, if I get myself authenticated with the device, you can hear that it is definitely given a voice prompt. Authenticating failed. Authenticating failed. Authenticating failed. Authenticating failed. Or maybe my rights are not with the device, but you can see it is saying authentication failed. That is what is meant by the voice prompt. So if you want to disable it, you can disable, as well as you can have a couple of other important settings that you want to use. Especially this device can support MyFair, EM, like so many card types in one device. So you can enable or disable those things here. And we have one option called remaining locked and unlocked. So you can basically select a door here, and you can have a schedule. Keep in mind, this schedule is like something you give open access. For example, if you are going to define a remain unlocked period, you can click on that. You can draw on the thing, click on it, and enter the start and end time. Let's take an example which is easy for explain. Let's say there's a lunch time where there's a high congestion. So people don't have to take time to take permission and go through the door. So during that time, maybe half an hour, you can keep the door always open, remaining unlocked. So in that case, the door will be automatically unlocked by the software, and it will be kept unlocked till that particular time period is over. Then you can also have a remain locked period where you can keep the door locked. Even the permitted persons comes in, they will not be able to go inside. And also you can define holidays within that period and also block the access during that holiday period directly on the device itself, not on the access group level. So that is the remain locked and unlocked. And we have the multi-factor authentication where we can define, like in high security areas, maybe device is fixed outside the door, and maybe permanent guy comes in and he maybe authorize his face, and the administrator on this software get a notification and he has to approve it. like a double confirmation. This kind of software can be in the control room where the security personnel sign, and they also have the CCTV view. So without opening the door, they can verify the person and open. So that kind of a double verification can be enabled, but not all the devices are supporting this feature again. So if you are using this kind of a feature, not only this feature, any feature listed in this advanced functions, if you are trying to use for any project, please verify the device is capable of handling that before proceeding. So that is a very critical factor that you have to keep in mind. Also, if you're using any custom VGAN formats, VGAN is one thing that we can use to do the serial communication. So I'll get to that also, where I have a couple of things to explain in the latter part. Then also we can define what kind of authentication that we can support. For example, we can have card only mode or card or PIN. Like that, we can define. Currently, it is on blue color, which means card, fingerprint, and face. All three are combined, can be used to get the authentication. Also, we have access controllers like especially made for elevator control. So if you are using elevator control, this is where you do the elevator configuration. Also, we have a function called first person in, where normally, let's say, I'll take a classic example where there's a bank, and we can set up a rule until the manager comes in, nobody else can go inside. That kind of a rule we can define. So what we have to do is we can select who is the person or persons per se should have first go through the system law. Then until that time, you can decide whether what should be done with the door. Also, we have an option called anti-passback, which is also very important. You are really worried about passing the card. For example, let's say if you are on a card system and once person go inside, maybe he can push out the card using a window or something else, and another person can come. If you are enable anti-passback for this kind of a thing, what you can do is you can identify whether the card is exited. But keep in mind, you have to have at least 2 readers. You can't use exit button, because you have to verify the card is properly exited. So you have to have an exit scanner. So with this kind of a system, you can enable anti-passback and prevent the card being passed back and entered again using the same card. So that kind of security you can have. Another feature that we have is the multi-door interlocking list. So you can have, like, let's say a factory, it is a closed area, and at any given time, only one door should be open. So there are maybe 3-4 doors, and you can control that using an interlocking system. So these kind of things, again, our standalone devices are not supporting. You have to go with one of our controllers. We have separate access controllers, which can control up to 4 doors with one control panel. So you can use one of those. And also we have this more parameters area. This is where normally you configure your network. If you want to modify or any other parameters, especially related to face recognition, you can see some settings. And also the MultiFactor card encryption, if you want to enable. And also, most importantly, we have the RS-485 and the VGAN. So I'll talk about RS-485 and VGAN here. So in my setup today, this device particularly, it is not a dumb device, right? It has a memory. It can verify whether the person is really authorized and send a signal to the lock to unlock it. But we have, because of that, we call this is a terminal. But we have readers. Readers are dumb device, just able to read only. So what we can do is, if somebody wants to have the verification on both sides, not on the entrance side, but also at the exit, without having an exit button, they can fix a reader. So that reader is connected to this device using RS-485 or VGAN. Most of the time, these readers are coming with common protocol that you have to configure that these two can communicate smoothly with each other. So you have to adjust these settings according to your reader that you are connecting. So Hikvision have a wide range of readers. If you want card, you can have card. If you want card and a fingerprint, you can have that. Even you can set up one of these as the opposite side. So one will act as a master, other one will act as a slave, as a dumb ring. So that you can do. Similar to the RS-485, we can also one of the things that we are using. So easily you can use either RS-485 or we can to enable this kind of function. Jump into the next section of our training today, where one of the most important things again, how do you take a report? How do you monitor this? So that part. So you go back to the home screen of IBM's 4200. You see the monitoring. So monitoring is basically where you monitor everything. For example, I'm going to punch my finger right now. So you can see immediately it gave the record. But it is saying the description, if I just increase it a little bit, you can see fingerprint recognition failed, which is unauthorized person has tapped. So all the things. Even when the door is open, let's say I'm going to press my exit button. I want you to focus on this icon. So see, I press the exit button and it is indicating visually here that I'm opening the door. I'm going to do it again. And also you can see the event with exactly what time the door exit button was pressed. exactly what time the door was unlocked, exactly what time the door button was released and the door was locked. So you can even track that to all the way up to seconds. And this is a very good way that you can monitor your access control system directly from the software. I have only one door, but if you have a multi-door system, multiple devices, you can see all of them appear here. And you can control as well from here. So for example, if you click on unlock door, so it will unlock the door. Also, if you are in an emergency, if you want to keep it unlocked for a particular period, you can keep remain unlocked. Also, if you want to keep it locked, click on remain locked. And if you want to capture a picture from the camera itself, you can capture that. And also, you can control all the doors at once, remaining all unlocked or remaining all locked. So these kind of features coming in the monitoring. And this is kind of a area that usually used to monitor. And we have another question in the Q&A. Can we export a report? Yes. I'm just jumping into that section right away. So here we show how to monitor it. Also, you will see the pictures appearing here. If it is if they are using face recognition, so definitely you will see pictures. And most probably, if you are using any temperature screening also with the device. So we have face recognition devices which are capable of doing temperature screening at the same time. And if there's abnormal temperature, it is able to give you alarm real time. You can see the temperature also coming up here. You might have noticed the column says temperature. So definitely nowadays with the COVID situation, you will need that. And going to the reports, in the home screen, you have one called Event Center. Basically in the Event Center, you have one thing called real-time events where all the events comes into here. But you have one called Event Search. You go there and you have to basically on the top, you can select the time period that you want to generate the report. So I'm going to generate it for today. And you can select what kind of a device that you are going to generate the report. If you want to select bunch of device, you can select as well. Doesn't matter. So I select I want to generate report for access control. And I select my device here. And I come here. And I can just simply click on search. And it will show all the events, especially the access granted events, not granted events, everything. But if you want only the access granted things, you can come here and you can filter it by event type. So if you go to the event type, you can see what kind of event types are there. So mostly you will see general events, access events. So in the access event, you can see what kind of event that you want and you can select that. Also, you can do a search, quick search here and filter that out easily. And also, if you want to filter these records by a person's card number or person's name, that is also visible. So you can take only the report that for one particular person. And if you want to take to one particular department, you can come to this organization and select only that department and generate the report again. So those are the search filters that you have. And finally, you can also click one of these records and see if there are pictures or any other things that related to that event. And finally, you can export as an Excel with the log or with the pictures and everything. You can export as an Excel. So that is also very handy when you want to export a report. Basically, this is how we export the report from IEMS 4200. So these principles are very similar in other softwares as well. If you are using Hike Central Professional or Hike Central Enterprise, so only the interfaces will be slightly different, but the principles and how do you operate and how you generate the reports are pretty much the same. And meanwhile, I have another question. Is there any report we can check access control authorization level? Basically, to check the access control authorization level, it is done through access control and come to the authorization and you go and search. You can enter the person's name here and you can even select the device that you want to search and you can click on search and it will show whether that person is authorized for that device, whether that person is granted access. Like that, you can get an idea what kind of authorization is given for that person. But unfortunately, this one doesn't come as a report that you can export. So it is only for basically done for the troubleshooting. But if you are requiring that kind of a report, definitely you can check out our HIC Central professional software, which is more advanced than IBMS 4200, where you can have that features as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
See
guys.
you.